Hey crew, welcome back to Hobby Time. Today we've got something a little bit different. Been doing one-day builds and stuff like that. Now you may have seen the Space Marine 2 helmet. This was a nice easy one. So what I've done for this video is I've decided to set myself a challenge. 1 week from printing to finishing 3 helmets, not 1, not 2, but 3. All for the Space Marine 2 game. I asked Nico to do some helmets. He's come through for me with some great designs, which you'll be able to find on his website, Nico Industries. But yeah, guys, I've got these helmets behind me, so let's have a quick look and we'll go from there. Starting off, we have the Heavy Marine. We then have the Vanguard Marine and the Bulwark Marine. The Bulwark, definitely my favorite, but we'll see which one's your favorite. But let's get this built, guys, and you can tell me at the end which one you like the best. So stay tuned. So here is the Heavy Marine. These are screenshots from the Space Marine 2 game. I just love the artwork in this game so far. Like, it's just a cosplayer's dream. It's a Warhammer fan's dream. It's so much fun to get so much detail actually in a 3D render as opposed to some of the great artwork out there and things like that. Now here we have the Vanguard Marine. This guy looks awesome. Like the skull look on that, very reminiscent of Ghost from Call of Duty. Love this helmet. And then my favorite here, we've got the Bulwark Marine. This guy just looks like a tank. He looks heavy. He looks mad. It's great. I love these helmets. So all these were printed on the Corelli K1 Max, filling the bed. As you can see, this is the 3 raw prints put together. I tried to keep them as simple as possible to make it nice and easy, just with their accessory pieces and so on and so forth. Everything gets a good sand, as always. You know, some of these I needed to, essentially, I didn't have my support structure right, which does happen. So what I had to do is go in with the soldering iron and some PLA and just do some plastic welding. As you can see there on the chin, because it is a pronounced chin on the Vanguard helmet, I had to print it separately so it'd sit flat on the bed, make it nice and easy for printing. So I printed the chin separate, and then I just had to solder that on and obviously fill that in with some spot putty. Normally I use the filler primer, which you see here. Sometimes for the deeper stuff, you just can't go past the spot putty. I really use it, but it's got a purpose like everything else. As you can see here, we only had a few accessory pieces on these helmets. The Bulwark was essentially 1, 2, 3, I think about 5 pieces. The others were roughly that too. So we had a couple of ear pieces, the piece on the back of the neck. Then we also had a mask piece for the Bulwark and a few pieces for the Heavy, which I think is just the air vents, and obviously then we did the back of the neck and the ears as well. So I separated all those to make it nice and easy, so it was a nice easy fit. Now as you can see here, they've all been primered up using the R46 and R47, and then I've moved on to a brushed steel look as a base layer. So it's a light chrome, not a heavy chrome, so it's not too shiny. The fun part here is the taping off. Anyone that's done a lot of painting knows that that's probably the worst part. But at the end of the day, the more time you spend taping these areas off using painter's tape, frog tape, whatever you prefer. I use blue, yellow, green, frog tape, painter's tape, whatever you call it, wherever you get it from, it's the same sort of stuff. Now, higher quality does also matter. As you can see, sometimes if you use real cheap paint, it'll run underneath. There is a technique that some people use, and I've used myself, where that is spraying the actual undercolor on top of that, so it dries and forms like a little barrier,
and then spraying the color that you actually want. The only thing you've got to be careful with is you can end up with like a step line if you go too many coats of paint. Now here we've got the blue ultramarine paint from Montana Gold. I love this stuff. It's not very durable, but their colors are absolutely amazing. I've used their gold here for the heavy helmet as well, and I also used their silver for a few other bits and pieces. Now, my favorite part, onto the weathering. I've gone very similar for all three helmets. I've gone as simple as possible. I didn't want to go too complex. I wanted them all to have a very similar appearance to the game. Ultramarine base colors, as in the base helmets. So not like the modified ones that you can get from the game. That will be for a later video. We will have a lot more to come on these ones. Now we just had a few bits of assembly. As you can see here, the face shield here for the heavy, he's gone on, as has the back and the ears and things like that. I done these ones to make them as simple as possible. So if someone wants to go and build these, then it's nice and easy for them. They can. These are all Nico Industries files, as I mentioned before, and Nico makes the files, so there's not too many pieces. They're very easy to print, they're very easy to finish and everything like that. So they're great, you get great detail in them as well. So we're doing some black washes here. That's the heavy, obviously. I tried to dirty this one up as much as I possibly could, because I reckon he's probably copped the hiding the most, more than anyone, as he's a heavy trooper. Now what I've done here is I've got the silver airbrush paints, because they're a little thinner, so they move and flow a little bit better just with the brush. A little bit of dry brushing here, adding some chips, adding some finishing touches and things like that. As I said, I didn't want to make these too complex, but you'll see at the end how we ended up. Now what I've done here, I've got a little rust coating, as you can see, over the top of that, a little bit more black, so everything looks a little bit worn, a little bit beaten up. After all, he's a 200-year veteran space marine. I reckon he has seen, pardon the language, some shit. So this pretty much is the heavy done. You know, there wasn't much more to do on this one. There is your final product for the heavy, all done, all weathered, all finished. Now, onto the Vanguard helmet. Now, this was all one piece, as I mentioned before, other than the chin. Now, what I need to do first is paint a bone-like texture on the front mask, or the face shield, whatever you want to call it. Then it was on to some weathering, the black into the teeth. I made a few modifications to this one after I initially painted this, which you'll see at the end. I've added some more shadows and things like that. Now, this had a couple of air rebreathers. I had made them about 2% smaller, so I needed to use the soldering iron and step them out a little bit to fit. So sometimes the soldering iron can be your best friend, especially when you're printing with PLA. It melts nice and easy, and it just helps sometimes if you've got that little bit of a tolerance difference, which can happen when you're trying to rush through prints and stuff like that in a week. I normally wouldn't have done 3 prints in a week, but hey, these things happen. Now here we go, same thing again, just doing the silver details. This had a few more rivets and bolts and things like that on it as well, and obviously on the rebreather there was some different stuff, but the techniques are pretty much the same, just doing the battle damage, the weathering and everything like that. Now I prefer, when I do weathering, I will add I guess a rust texture. And I'll use 2 different types, but nice and simple. Vanguard, done. Now here is the big boy. This I loved, very much like an old school knight helmet. I wanted to keep it as simple as possible. I didn't put much weathering as far as the dirt and the grime and everything like that on the Bulwark helmet. I wanted the blue to really pop. This thing was really big, it was imposing, and something about it I just loved. So I kept the details, especially on the blue, as simple as possible. I did put a big battle scar on his chin, as you can see, but this was definitely my favorite helmet. It was also the simplest. You know, this thing was so easy to print, so I highly recommend giving this one a go. 110% on all these helmets size-wise for me. That's the end of the Bulwark. Love this.
Anyway guys, that was a bit of a challenge doing these 3 in that time frame, but got it done just in time for the game. I hope you like these ones here. Let me know, I might do the remaining ones. The good thing about the Space Marine game is there is so much customization going on. You can have literally hundreds of color combos and designs and styles. I do have something that I mocked up ready for one of these guys potentially. It will be a Mohawk. Just got to finish it off and we'll see how we go. Anyway guys, that's it for this video. If you liked it and enjoyed it and you like these helmets and like Space Marine, or 40k for that matter, let me know. Shoot me a comment and give it a like and thumbs up, and subscribe if you're liking what you're seeing here. But as always guys, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next video.